Hi, welcome back to Ideas Box, and if this is your first time here, then thanks for dropping by. I'm Jimmy, and today's video is a problem we had with our ride-on mower surging. We've got two ride-on mowers, and this one, an MTD, I've removed the mower deck from so we can use it as a tow motor for things on our property. In the end, it was a very simple fix, though it took me a while to fault find it. Isn't that always the way? Anywho, let's get into it. So I could see the governor linkage surging then, but is that trying to make up for the engine revs dropping, or is that the cause of the issue? One thing that isn't good is, look at the amount of crud down there, and I've already wiped it with my finger, as you can see. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that, so obviously there's a lot of air is bypassing this filter, so I'm not sure why it's doing that, but I'll have to fix that too. So I think I'm going to be pulling this carby apart and having a look at this carby, maybe give it a clean out and see how we go. So first off, I'll remove the bonnet or the hood, whatever you want to call it. Just means taking those wires off those lights and taking the wire off the horn, so I'll do that now. This bonnet's much easier to take off. It's just got these bolts that go into these slots here, and then there's some tabs that lock into there. So that's a 2-second job. So start pulling this cover here off and get to the carby and see if I can clean that up. I haven't had this off before, but it looks to me like it's just these ones here and that one there. Trying to get too much sugar down the carby. I probably should have blown that out first. So is that going to come off now? Are they clamping it? What are they doing? They're clamping it. So what happens if I loosen them? Don't know. Got my parts tray, so I'll put that down there. So they look like they unscrew, but I don't really want to undo anything that's going to be engine-y, if you know what I mean. It's going to need torquing down or gaskets or whatever, but looks to me like that's all that's holding it on. Oh, does that slip up off of there? Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there we go. Now I'm glad I didn't undo them, because I don't know what they do and or don't do. What's that? Oh, it's just a cable tie for the fuel line. So I'll just let that sit like that. God, look at the state of that carby. Okay. There's a gum nut stuck there. That wouldn't be it, would it? Nah. No, I don't think so. Looks like a pretty simple carby at least. I can get that gum nut out of there. So what does that do? Don't know, but there's the governor linkage. So there's your throttle. So when you work the throttle, all you're doing is allowing this linkage to move. So there's your throttle. Yeah. So I'm going to shove a rag in there and blow all this off. So you can see the filth that's got down inside there because it's been bypassing the filter. So I'm kind of hoping it'll just need a bit of a quick carby clean out and we should be able to run this thing because we've got some work for it to do today. So I'll get stuck into that. So this is only the inlet, so I can take this off. Oops, hang on. Right, that's the whole carby off. That might be a good thing. That gasket doesn't look too bad. And that's in a little tray. So, what's the best way to get these off? Why won't that come any further? Oh, you're shitting me. Have a look at this. Can't get the carby off because it's hitting down there. That's the fuel shut off solenoid. So I'm going to have to shut off the fuel and take that solenoid off the bottom of the carby. Or is there another way? Can I get these studs out? I'm wondering what would be better. Don't know. Maybe I can put a couple of jam nuts on here and try and take these studs out. Let's try that, I think. I'm hoping they're 6mm thread, not quarter UNC. Oh no, beautiful, they're 6mm thread. So what I can do is, I can jam those two together. And then I should be able to... No, far out, okay. Try a bit more. Don't really want to damage the threads though. No, okay. I'm not going to get those two long studs out without breaking something. So I'll put them in the other side of the tray so I don't end up with them at the end and think, what are they from? So, how the hell do I get that? So there's the fuel drain, so if I disconnect it here and then lift this up, that'll stop the fuel from being a complete disaster. So I'll get them out of there. Here, I'll show you what I'm doing. You can see? Can you see what I'm doing? Yep, I'm getting these two clips out of here. I want that one to come out. Oh, hang on. Just need to compress the little grooves on the back of it. There we go. That was easy enough. Now, so, just hold that up out of the way. Now I need to get this off real quick because there's no fuel shut off on this mower. So get that back out of the way. Now I need to get this off and lift it up quick so that it doesn't make a mess. It'll make it a little bit of a mess, but you know, you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs now, can you? So that's going to piss out of there in a second now. There we go. If I hold that up above the level of the fuel tank, if I hold the end of this up above the level of the fuel tank, that should be fine. So I'll just need to tuck that somewhere. Where can I tuck that? I probably should have thought of this before. Don't really want any dirt in it. There we go. That'll work, and so that doesn't slip, I'll go and get a cable tie. So I'll just put a cable tie. Oh, just like that. There we go. Now I don't have to worry about that. Now all I have to worry about is getting this carby off. So how am I going to do that? I need to get that little doover actually there. Why don't I just blow that out? I reckon, is that 10? Yeah, it is. Okay. I think that's a fuel drain. Draining the fuel out the carby. Yeah, it's wet already, so I think it is. So that's what I'm taking out there, so that'll fuel will hoot out of there, but it won't be very much. It's only what's in the fuel bowl. So that's finished now. So now I'll just pop that back in. Actually no, I'll leave that out because that's got a little plastic gasket on it. Put that in my parts tray. Now, how to get that past there? Am I going to have to get a little Phillips screwdriver under these two screws? I think I am. Anyway, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Right, I think I can reach it from under here with a long Phillips head screwdriver. Right, so it's ended up being a little bit easier than I was expecting. A pair of vice grips in there, and you can get that shaft to turn. Hopefully the other one I can as well. Yep, okay, beautiful. So, should I get them out now? So maybe the two jam nuts will work now. Yep, okay, beautiful. Hang on, that's tightened up. Why has it done that? There we go. See, that's turning now, that's good. Is it unscrewing? It wouldn't want to be pressed in there, would it? Oh no, it's unscrewing, I can see it now. A little mark on the shaft is advancing. A little polish mark from where it was put together. Right, there's one undone. So now I'll transfer that, I suppose you call it a nut runner or a stud runner. Transfer that to the other one. That's allowed me to take that carburetor off. Oh, they've got to come out through the back. Of course they do. Because the shaft tapers and it catches on that piece of the casting. But that's right. I can just undo these jam nuts and we might be onto something. There we go. So I spin them off. So I'll need them for doing the studs back up again. So they'll come out through the back. Now, I've almost got the carburetor ready to go. So can I disconnect that? Yes, I can. That'll disconnect there. By the looks of it. I imagine there's a special tool. There we go. Now, what size is that? Yep. Why would it be? I know what size it is. It's this size, that's what size it is. So I'll undo that. Right, so I'll get that undone. So that goes off of there. So I can take that off and sit that in my parts tray. And this one here you have to be quite a little bit careful with. You can lift that out there. You've got to get the governor spring off without bending the governor spring. So that's just going to go around like that. It's a bit fiddly. There we go. Right. Just going to pull this carby apart and give it a bit of a clean and see what we've got. Look at that. That looks less than ideal, doesn't it? Anyway, take it in the workshop and clean it and see if we can't make it worse. Right, so I think I need to clean out I'd say that doesn't look good, does it? That doesn't look good how grubby that is in there, so I'll give it a bit of a clean out and see what we've got. I don't really want to use compressed air because you can damage the diaphragms in there, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a spray with CarbiClean. That's oh no, that's not warm, that's fine. Alright, so I'll take this off here, see if I can get the fuel bowl off and have a look. There might be some crud in there. Ah, here we go. That crud. I don't think there should be that kind of gear in there, but it looks to me like that's what's holding the fuel bowl on that nut there, which makes sense because the jet usually goes up the centre and there's your fuel shut-off solenoid, so that makes sense. Just make sure that little gasket doesn't get displaced when I put it back together. Right. So none of those jets are blocked. You can see through all of these. They all look to be clear. I'll give them a blowout anyway. Right, so I think that component's okay. So I'll take the fuel bowl off. A little bit of gunk in there, but not as much as I was expecting to see. I think that part of the carb is alright. I'll just get some carby cleaner. So I've got my carby cleaner, so I'll give that a bit of a... This is nasty stuff too. I don't really like using this stuff. It's pretty horrible. See, that shouldn't be dirty like that. So I'll get this carby cleaned up and running, and then I'll I said before not to use compressed air, but if you just do it very gently, you can usually get away with it. So that's the choke, and there's your throttle there. A lot of gunk come out. Just going to give it a... Now, obviously I don't know what half of these little Venturis and jets and things are for. I'm just making sure everything looks like it's clear. There's a little couple of holes there. Never hurts to give it a good clean. Apart from the crud in that hole there, which I'm still getting out. Look at that. Yep, that's clear. I can feel air coming through the throat of the carby. Just very. Yep, so that's clear. So, I don't know exactly. I don't know. I'm just hoping that I've cleaned it, because I really don't give everything a good drink of carby cleaner, which is pretty horrible stuff. Make sure that gasket's in place. I'll just actually use a little brush. Now that went round that way, because I remember the fuel came in there and that's where the drain was. So that'll go on there like that. That'll go in there like that. Just do it up gently. Might actually just think that's tight enough. I don't know if there's much else I can do. If it keeps surging, I'll have to do a bit more of a investigate. So there's the fuel drain plug which goes in there. That's got a little plastic gasket. That shouldn't need any grease on it. And that's 10mm. Just nip that up. Yep, that should be enough. Right, so what else do I need to do? Put the fuel solenoid, shuttle solenoid back in. Give that O-ring a little bit of grease on it too. And the wires went towards the fuel inlet like that. So I'll just put those screws back in. So, like I said, hopefully that's fixed it. Right, let's go and put that back on. So obviously the reassembly is the opposite of the disassembly. So I need to hook that into there. That goes just down through there like that. And then it slips in there, and then that allows that to rotate. But hang on, I've got to get the governor spring on first, so it's a little bit fiddly. So I'll try and show you that, but it might not be possible. So there we go, so I've got that on. Just turn that around till that lines up with that. There we go. So there's the throttle linkage with the governor. And then this, which way did this go? Like that. So there we go. So there's the two linkages done up. So now I need to put the two studs back through and do them up. So they need to go in like that. And I haven't put any marks on them. With the vice grips, they actually weren't that hard to get out. So I'll just pass that in through there. Pass that in through there. Just get them started. Yep. Yep. Right, so now I need to put two nuts on them. This is called using a jam nut. If I had a stud runner is like a little thing with some rollers in it, and it grabs the threaded section of the stud pretty much without damaging it and runs the stud in. So this might just have to do. Do you know what? That's pretty tight. I don't think they need to be any tighter than that, but let's just make sure. Just make sure that's not. You know what? That's pretty tight. I'm happy with that. Now the same with this one. So you lock the jam nut on, and use the ratchet ring spanner. Of course it's around the wrong way, so ratchet ring spanner, run that in. That's pretty tight. Take your jam nuts off. Right, now that should just, that's got to go back on there. So there's my little bolt that I had trouble with before, but maybe we'll get that this time. It's a bit fiddly. You need, oh shit, I got it. That's good, isn't it? Oh, that's right, that's 8mm. So instead of using a shifter this time, I'll use the proper tool. I want to make sure that it's done up nice and snug. Yep. reconnect the fuel shut-off solenoid. There we go. Now fit this. Actually, no, I'll take that off. Clean all that crud out of there. What was I thinking? But that's, what would that be? Like a positive crankcase ventilation, wouldn't it? So, I'll just have a look at this gasket. That gasket looks pretty good. It's a bit dirty, but well, that wasn't how it went. How did it go, Jimbo? Like that. There we go. So I'll go and clean this out. I'll be back in a minute. Right, I've cleaned that, and all I've used was the rag that I had on the bench, which got covered in carby cleaner, so that's pretty clean down in there now. Yep, that's really good in there now. But I do have this little, I don't think this is affecting it because it's before the metered air, which is the carburetor. That little cover there, which is split. So I'll just whack a cable tie around that. I don't think it's affecting, I really don't think it's affecting what's going on here. But at least that cable tie should stop it from falling off. Right. So I'll just nip that cable tie off. And then that goes on there. Just want to have a look inside this pipe here. No, it's pretty clean in there. I think it's only getting vapours from the crankcase, so I don't think that's causing any dramas. So I'll just cut that cable tie too, because that's getting in the way. So that's on there, that's on there, that can go on there like that. That tube can go on there. Right, now, okay, so I'll put those two nuts on, and then I can run it without the air cleaner for a second or two. So that goes on there, that goes on there. Just wipe up all this spilt fuel so that I can see if I've got a fuel leak a bit later. Right. Just let that fuel run down into that carby for a bit. Alright, so why won't you start? At this point, I couldn't actually believe that I'd made it worse. By holding my hand partly over the intake, I can balance up the air-fuel mixture and possibly tell if it's running lean. What happens is, by cutting off more of the air, it gets closer to the right air-fuel mixture. It's not perfect, but it gives you an idea of what might be wrong. Appears to be running, so if I'm covering that off and it's running better, just getting less air, it's running lean. So, actually see a mixture screw in there. That's the throttle. I don't reckon the governor springs got weaker because it's not really doing anything. I wonder if I've made it worse by cleaning it. How can you make it worse? Don't know. So in the end, all it turned out to be was the idle jet, which is a small plastic assembly with a brass jet in it, which is held in by the idle speed set screw, had come loose and had lifted out very slightly. So all I had to do was take it out, make sure everything looked hunky-dory, push it back into place, and the engine ran fine. Here's a diagram showing you where it sits in the carby, and there's a picture of it out of the carby. I got these pictures off the internet. So I'll put this back on now, because I think I've worked out what the problem was. Something very surprising. One of those ones where you're sort of surprised you found it yourself. Just got to push down there. There we go. Put those 3 nuts back on. 3 of them and 1 of them. So that one goes in there. The 3 dome nuts go on here. So now, to address the issue of why all that crud's bypassing the air cleaner, because I'm pretty sure that's not right. So let's have a look at the way the air filter sits on there. Alright, so so this little cover, that looks like it should, actually, that feels to me like it seals really nicely on there. So why is that being allowed to float up off of there? Where's that little cover got to? There it is. So I'll give it a bit of a wipe down so it looks like I know what I'm doing. Now that should, if you think about it, that should push down on that filter. With those 2 little, doesn't feel to me like it does. I'm just going to put a piece of, oh no, there's marks on there where it's been vibrating against it. I'm going to, I don't know. Well, first off I'll blow the air cleaner out, the air filter out, see if we can sort something that way. Right, so now I look at it, that is actually quite a nice fit on there. So I don't think it's leaking around that, I don't think it's leaking around there. And you can see where the marks on there, where that has been pushing against it to hold it down. So I don't think that's the issue either. And the air cleaner itself is really, I mean, it's quite dusty here, but I mean, look at that, there's nothing wrong with that. So, I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe it was drawing a little bit of air in through that little nipple that was split. I don't know. What I'll do is I'll just keep an eye on that, see if I can solve that problem some other time. But for the moment it's running, which is nice. So I'll put it all back together and I'm going to have some breakfast and then put this thing to work. Alright, well thanks for watching. I hope that solves an issue for you. Who would have thunk it to be that little plastic doovalaki in there? Oh well, there you go, it's fixed. I think. Touch wood. Okay, thanks for watching. As you saw, it was one of the simpler fixes. It just took a bit of fault finding to get to the actual cause. I hope this video helps you out with the problem you've got. Make sure to click like and subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell too. Well, I reckon that's it for today, so bye for now.